Alrighty, so we are here at Foxhall Studios on Logan Boulevard in Logan Square, and we are here with Mr. Chico Tillmon, who is the executive director of the Community Violence Intervention Leadership Academy at the University of Chicago.
That's right.
But that's only the latest thing you have done. I know there's a lot more of the story, and we're going to get that story, aren't we?
Yeah, man. Let's start off with the where you from, man? Chicago. You from Chicago? Let's talk about it, man.
Man, I always not only recognize but like to attribute a lot of the things that I've learned that kind of made me who I am from being from the west side of Chicago, from the Austin community. Um, Lived in a few places in the Austin community. First, I lived on Laurel in Ohio and went to Howe, and then lived on LeClaire and Concord over a little bit further north. But yeah, the west side of Chicago, born and raised. And it really, a lot of times people talk about some of the challenges, and there was a lot of challenges, but it taught me some things, whether it's survival skills, wisdom, how to navigate different situations that really I carry with me to this day. And being from the west side of Chicago um, makes you built for certain situations where other will self-destruct or falter. And I just got to give credit to, the west side of Chicago and the people who helped me learn how to navigate difficult situations.
I mean, most people don't realize the education you get by growing up in the kind of communities you did. But the fact is, we all know that the only people who can do the kind of work you do and you do are people who had that education. Not the education I had, the one you had.
Yeah, when you talk about, I think it's
even though you got a lot of other education
no,
too.
right? In terms of education, I think some of the skills that you develop um, are based upon living in an environment where you learn these survival skills and these skills to be able to maneuver in difficult terrain in order to live the next day. And it teaches you to become a critical thinker, but you learn, I'm not going to say you can learn it because some of these things I believe are innate. I believe you develop intuition or instincts to be able to discern if an environment is hostile without even anybody saying things or doing anything. I could walk into a room, feel the tension through the vibrations of the room, and say either it's safe or something is about to happen. And you can only learn that from being in situations or living in situations where it's tumultuous and it's a possibility something can happen traumatic.
Tell me about growing up and how you got sort of into the world that we're involved with here.
I'll tell you this, right? I grew up. I'm gonna say something weird. I grew up in oblivion or oblivious because I say it over and over again, man. When you growing up, life is what it is. I didn't know I was poor. I didn't think nothing was wrong with going to the corner store with a note saying my mama gonna pay you on Thursday. I thought food stamps was cool. I didn't see nothing wrong with borrowing sugar from the neighbor,
Right.
or eating syrup sandwiches or mayonnaise sandwiches or cheese sandwich or getting the cheese from the free cheese, government cheese, because in our community, that's how we live. So we didn't, one thing about concentrated poverty as opposed to poverty in pockets is everybody in the community has these struggles, so you believe this is the way life is. You don't look at it like we're poor because everybody in the community has similar struggles. So you learn how to navigate and live in those conditions, but it prepares you for life and it teaches you to appreciate things in a way that even my children can never understand. Like, I appreciate the smallest of things because I know what it's not to have without. Now, the rough part about growing up on the West Side was society painted a picture of what masculinity or a man should be. And in the Black community at that time, it was a negative connotation. I grew up in the 70s, so I'm going to date myself. I was born in 1970, so I grew up during Black exploitation where it was cool to be a pimp or a hustler because of the Mac and Superfly and all this stuff going on. So all my male figures in my life, now I understand what's negative, because that's what was to be cool, was to be negative. And so I grew up, I don't want to say confused, but dichotomous. I was pretty good in school, but still I wanted to acquiesce or grow into manhood, so I adopted maladaptive behaviors just to be masculine. I'll tell you something else that was taught in our community, which a lot of times we don't talk about, which has translated in some of the challenges that we have. Promiscuity. Like, we was taught, like, you supposed to date a lot of women, you supposed to, that was the mindset of being a boy or growing into a man. Like, you don't settle down early. If a girl I grew up with all these misconceptions and unhealthy thoughts. You right. And then even the way we viewed what we would call subculture groups or organization culture or gang culture, the way I got wrapped up into that is not like people think. Some people sensationalize it and we watch it on TV like these are the bad guys, and they ain't going to school, they ain't doing right, and you got to get beat up to get in, and everybody rock. No, I lived in a community. Everybody stuck together. And when I played basketball at Howell, and I went to Steinmetz and played basketball. And when we played other teams, they knew I lived in a particular neighborhood, and I was associated with that neighborhood. It didn't have nothing to do with no doggone gang. It had nothing to do with no damn gang. So I was declared in the gang before I even got involved in it. And
just by living there, they said, okay.
Not guilt, well, whatever you want to call by association.
Yeah.
And then my relationships were strong with those guys because these my neighbors. This who looked out for me. This who I looked out for. And we built bonds through challenges and struggles. And and initially I could say I did the right things, on the honor roll and gifted classes. Went to the military, Air National Guard, but it wasn't a pathway really for success for me because I was still broke. Yeah. I was still struggling. And this was during the crack epidemic. And
so this is now late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, late 80s. And what happened was I was always, sharp and good with math. I wasn't scary because I played sports. In sports, we love aggressive, tough people, be tough. So
competitive,
all of that good stuff.
Yeah, right.
So all these skills that I developed naturally when I got involved in other stuff that it just took me to another level.
So it put you in a position of leadership.
Yeah.
It was easy for you to grow into that.
Yeah, it's natural. Because even in basketball, I played point guard, so I'm used to, you do this.
So you did the military right after high school?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you came back to the neighborhood.
I was in the Air National Guard, so one of the challenges, I never left Chicago.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I was gone. I went away for 6 months, then I was gone a weekend, a month. So really, I was drawn in by the lure of the economic boom from the crack era.
Right.
I never had substance use disorder problems, but I'm working 2 jobs in the military and dead broke, and maybe a couple of my friends making $10,000, $20,000 a day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the I'm smarter than them. Shit, but I look like I'm the one dumb. I'm walking them, they paying for my food. And they like, hey man, they like, this what we doing. And and it was easy the accessibility got me involved and and it took off from there.
Yep. I do know you did. Ultimately, you got convicted of something. You served some time, right?
I served 16 years, 3 months in prison for introducing two people.
Federal prison?
Yeah, I was in the feds for 16 years.
You said for introducing people. How did that go?
Situation came about. A person wanted to meet somebody else. I introduced them. Somebody told on me. And they wanted to know who was I introducing Peter to. And I wouldn't tell them. I was like, I ain't did shit but introduce two people. What they do after that is their business. If y'all ain't even did
with drugs or anything?
No, they didn't catch me with no drugs. Mm-hmm. But somebody said like he the leader. So like he the brainchild. And there was a lot of lying at court. And what really got me convicted is material things. Like at the time I had a townhouse and I could see it now. I look guilty, even though like this.
You obviously had money from something.
Hold on, this is what I'm saying, right? Because this is critical. This is what allowed me to do 20 years for something I didn't that I wasn't guilty of. I was doing wrong. I just wasn't caught in the act. So like they didn't. The way the case was. It was all circumstantial evidence. He got a townhouse. He got 2 brand new cars. He got jewelry. He got all this stuff at 23.
Yeah.
Even though we ain't got no evidence about him doing it, he did it.
Right. I believe I read it was conspiracy. Right?
Yeah, conspiracy.
That's how conspiracy laws work, right? They don't have to catch you with the drugs. They got to catch somebody with the drugs, and then everybody he talked to, and he introduced somebody, and somebody knows somebody. Next thing you know, you got a conspiracy case, right?
The
Get
thing,
5 guys.
The thing that got me is I paid for people hotel room. That's it. That they say since I paid for a damn hotel room, I must be the big guy because But you got to think, black kids at that time, and then I told you I had a military. Ain't too many people had credit cards and all that stuff to even pay for no damn credit. So by me paying for the hotel rooms, it tied me into knowing the people and all of that. But it was a bunch of bull. And but hey, what allowed me to do the time was I knew like I wasn't an innocent person. I'm being real. Like I wasn't guilty of what they charged me with, but I wasn't innocent. So it wasn't like I'm not gonna paint this picture like I was walking down the street. They just grabbed me off the street and
it was you were involved.
Yeah, but not in that.
Not in what?
Not in what they charged me with.
No, I got it.
But I just think like they was tired and was like, damn. Let me get him, and see what he talked, and I couldn't do it.
One thing, even when I'm hearing you say that, and what throws me off sometimes is that here you convicted for something that you didn't do, and you saying, man, I did something wrong. But we know too many people that's been convicted of stuff they didn't do and didn't do nothing wrong too.
Right.
And then it's like and then you try to find even in that space, like, well, I didn't do. They're trying to deal with their time, but like, man, I ain't do that, but I did something else. But that's not right. That's not fair. That's not justice at all, because if I didn't do something and you convict me of something I didn't do, and all you wanted me to do is tell on someone else. Like, if I told on someone else, I don't do 20 years in prison.
But let me say this, right? Let me tap into your spirituality. And that's what helped me, like me tapping into God and me recognizing before God, like, whatever man soweth, he shall also reap. So God, I say, God, if this is my punishment for all the shit, for all the stuff I did, then I accept it. And my prayer, believe it or not, in prison was not let me get out of here, but God don't send me back the same person. because my mindset, even at that time, was revenge, was to like, I wasn't trying to hit nothing because I felt like somebody had took my life. And the first thing I was like, 20 years is a lot of time. And at that time, people was getting 20 years in the state for murder. So I got more time for what a quarter key than people was getting for murder.
Yeah.
So I was like, it wasn't.
That was the tail end of the drug war, right?
Yeah, but
Reagan and
but when you look at it like
tail end.
no, I went right before the big cases in Chicago, so I was one of the first ones.
Yeah.
Right before they did the one on the west side and the one with on the south side with Larry Hoover and all them. So I went before them. I went in '93, and I think they was in '95 and '96. So yeah.
Yeah. Is that when Mr. Banks?
I think he went in '94.
Yeah. That's what they went right after me.
Well, obviously, you did change, and you didn't come back the same person, did you? You came back a different person.
You know what? When you think about the work we do, right? And I give all praise to God, and I thank God because prison allowed me time to understand myself and some of the things I was doing that was insane that could potentially lose my life every day.
Yeah.
And it really gave me a reckoning and an epiphany. And I did want that same life for my children. And when I came home, initially I thought I was going to be in ministry. But I used to tell God, I was like, God, I really don't, and I want to say this in the most respectful way, I really don't want to be no preacher or no pastor because it's a church on every block. And I don't want to get out saying all of a sudden I'm a pastor and I'm finna compete with all these churches on every other block. I say, God, it got to be something else for me to do. And even when you think about this work, a lot of people say they discovered a purpose. My purpose kind of discovered me because I came home and it was a war in North Lawndale, not North Lawndale, West Garfield Park. And believe it or not, I came home like anybody else. I'm broke. I need a few dollars. And just so happened, two of the people that was into it, one of the dudes I grew up with, and one of the dudes was my cellmate who I did like 6 years with. So I'm going to see them anyway. Man, I need a few dollars to get on my feet. And I was able to mediate it. At first, let me back up. When I first told people, like, they was like, so and so and so and so into it. I was like, what? I was like, man, I could stop that shit. You can't stop, man. We've been working on this. You know how on the street, we've been working on that. I was like, no, that's the dude, my little brother.
They're my people.
And this my man. I can't let it ain't got nothing to do with no violence prevention organization. Just
You didn't know this could be a career.
No, I didn't know what. I didn't know how big it was. I just thinking like these two of the guys.
These my guys.
When we was in the street, we did that all the time, like mediated things.
Somebody over here. This my cousin. You don't know this my cousin and then you my man. But I found out y'all into man. That's my man.
That's my little cousin.
Yeah.
You might be like, damn.
I didn't know
even if they bogus,
right.
I could ease up because this my man cousin. Yeah. And so when I did it, that's why I say the work found me. When people was like, no, you stopped the war, you did this, you did it. And there was other people involved too, right? At Ceasefire West. Man, I ain't never felt that good in my life. Like, they say, man, no, we stopped, and then, man, I got to give some credit too to Marilyn Pitchford and Fred, man. I came on, man, and Marilyn seen something in me because I wanted to go back to school. And she gave me a real flexible schedule. First, she told me that I need to go back to school. She was like, you so smart. You need to go back to school. I was like, cool. And then I got straight A's. She gave me a flexible schedule so I could go to school.
Where were you in school?
I went to Northeastern Illinois.
Okay.
And and I did it in like 2.5 years. I got my bachelor's, and then
And all you had was a high school degree
no,
before
I
that?
had a associate's.
Oh, okay.
So I got it in like 2 years, and then I got my master's in like 13 months. So, but even with the bachelor's, I graduated number one. I graduated summa cum laude, and with the master's, I got straight A's too.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then that's when
and you've gone on to get a PhD, right?
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about the state of the CVI field today. Like you're running an academy that is training, that's really professionalizing this field, right?
Yeah.
It's teaching people that this is a profession now.
Let me give you a little backdrop. So, Lead Cure Violence went to the Y and followed Eddie. Ran that for a while, but then along with being a practitioner and going to school, I began to think about the work different, and I began to see gaps. And I'm one of the first people start talking about an ecological systems approach and using the ecosystem. And I was teaching that and saying that like we can't do everything. We got to collaborate, and it hit. And one thing that happened was when I was saying that around the country, people began to notice, and I was one of the people picked to be on the transition team with the Biden-Harris administration, and that catapulted me into a different stratosphere and put me in a position to help write a small portion of the ARPA bill,
Yep.
the American Rescue Plan, and to do advocacy with then director Susan Rice, me and my comrades from the Black and Brown Peace Consortium, along with the Fund Peace people, and me, Marcus McAllister, who used to be at Cure Violence, and Stephanie went around and did advocacy, putting pressure on mayors and governors, and helped get $3.7 billion allocated for CVI. So that's what led to the school. Once I began to see the progress of the funding coming, I said, damn. I said, we got to prepare these small orgs to be able to manage this scale that's coming fast.
Right. You know, just all the compliance with the federal grants, things like that is a lot of work.
Not just the money too. Like, it's different from managing 2 people. Now I got enough money to hire 20 people and have a full staff. Like, it's night and it's overnight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I said, what can we do? And we had often been talking about standardizing the field. And at that time, I was working at the University of Chicago Crime and Education Lab as a senior fellow. And I brought them this idea. I said, I want to build a school. And along with the steering committee, we constructed this school, had 2 people from UIC, Catherine and Julian, take our thoughts, take our ideas, and create it into a curriculum. And here it is. And I'm the one had the opportunity to spearhead it and ensure that it was implemented with fidelity.
What has been the benefits of students that have graduated from the school?
What? Look, the first thing, like, I'm going to tell you one thing about me, right? I believe, like, one of my superpowers is goal setting. And I often set my goals beyond my reach. So wherever I land, it's progress. I don't, some people teach the opposite and say set reachable goals so that you can see milestones. Hell no. I set mines for the moon, so wherever I land, I went further than, anybody ever anticipated. And I think the first thing that we did was like on some stratospheric rock star type stuff, was like the first class graduated inside the White House and had Kamala Harris as the keynote address.
Yeah, right.
So what that did is it brought recognition, but then the people who worked begin to go back and talk about the work in a different way because we brought the best professors from around the country, but also we brought the best subject matter experts that do the work from around the country. And we took people around the country to see the work through different lenses, not just a Chicago lens, Chicago, New York, LA, um, the DMV. So they seeing how the work looks. So now the way they talking about it, they're able to fill gaps and bring things to and their institutions was like, whoa, one person became a deputy mayor after coming to it. Two or three people went on to national roles at philanthropy groups. People started getting promoted and being poached right out of the program because now their level of understanding along with their lived experience made them superstars.
I could tell you that, I had heard the whispers. Chico got this thing going. I'm like, yeah, Chico, that's my man. They like, Chico got this school going. I'm like, yeah, that's my man. But the long story short is that you professionalize a space with the help of others, but you kind of like you are a trusted voice in the community that people know. Okay, nah, it's validity behind what he say. By doing this work on the ground and taking it to a level that many have never taken it to, as far as getting your doctrine, coming from where we come from, knowing the streets, knowing that educational sphere, and then taking it there and allowing others an opportunity kind of follow those footprints. And we may not get to the doctrine. We can, but we may not get to the doctrine. But at least by stepping in some of those footsteps, I think what you're doing is allowing us to see where we can go with this work, and it's being beneficial for the city of Chicago. I know one of the things we want to talk about is, we seeing a lot of violence decrease in the city of Chicago. We're talking about over 40% right now.
Yeah.
How important do you think the CVI work is to the decrease in violence in the city of Chicago?
I think the first thing we gotta say is like, I believe, let's do this, right? I believe in shared responsibility. And I think without CVI, we don't have this. We don't have this reduction because CVI is specifically focused on individuals ensnared in a cycle of violence. So the individuals that are most likely to shoot or individuals most likely to be harmed through gun related things. So let's start there. So by us being surgical and working directly with that less than 1% population and picking them off one by one, we taking away the people that would shoot somebody now, and now they're enrolling in things like CBI and CBT, other programs, workforce development, anger management, substance use disorder. So now they not shooters. We're decreasing the probability of shooters. Now, what I would say that other people, I don't want to diminish the work of other people in the ecosystem, such as social service agencies, people that provide housing, people that provide workforce development, people that do all those other things, because they equally as important, because they attack the root causes of violence, and law enforcement play a role. But without a doubt, without CVI, this house will be on fire. And we've seen this. Let's just be real. We've seen what it's like when we don't invest in CVI. And what we see now is we've made more investment, and there's a correlation. We've made more investment, we have more progress. When we've had less investment, we had a spike in homicides and shootings.
My big thing is we want CVI to be a permanent feature of the public safety ecosystem, because I think too many people still think of it as like some kind of a pilot program. We're just going to try it, and the ARPA money made it possible for a lot of people to expand, but right now the city, the county, the federal government pulled out right under Trump, and city and county getting tight on money, state getting tight on money, and
I disagree.
Go ahead.
You disagree with what?
It's not tight on money.
Okay.
It's tight if we don't invest.
Oh,
Because hold on, let me say this.
that's what I'm
I gotta say this. That's the wrong way to frame it. Cause we never say when the money get tight, we go, you know what? It's getting tight. We finna take 10,000 police off the street.
Now that's my point exactly.
No, so what I'm saying is, if it costs up to 2.5 million per homicide, the problem is we can't afford not to invest.
Right.
Because we gonna lose money if we don't invest. What we need to do is double down, because that's where the cost savings come at. Just think about, I would love someone to do an analysis, not on the 40% decrease and stop. How much money has the 40% decrease saved Chicago and Illinois? So really look, if you look at it, you invested, even if you invested $100 million, but you might have saved the state or the city $10 billion or $50 billion.
So some people say every shooting costs $1 million in policing, healthcare.
It's 1.5 to 2.5 million.
And so you have 100 fewer shootings, that's $100 million, right?
I'm glad you framing it this way, because if people don't see, the reality is, how does it make sense to not put more money in something that's actually working, that's going to cause you to not spend more money
So
as
you
a
make
taxpayer?
it, no, what really, you make money by investing in CBI. We framing it right. It's not charitable, it's an investment.
Yeah.
That's like saying, you know what? I ain't putting no more money in this high yielding savings account. But every time I put $1 in, they match it.
It doubles.
Yeah, my money getting tight. I can't afford. No, you can't afford not to put money in there.
I agree. That's
Yeah,
the case we need to
It's
keep
not
making.
superfluous. Yeah, you can. But know what? We got to get people to think like that. Like, damn, by investing 25, I saved 250. So if I invest
That's
50, I might save 500 million. And I'm gonna tell you something that we did, the fun piece in the Black and Brown Peace Consortium behind doors. I could put it out there, right? So, and me and him cool now, so I could bring his name up too. One of my friends, Thomas App, had wrote this thing around Build Back Better. And initially, they were going to give ARPA or give us $900 million over 10 years. When we seen that, you know what we told the Biden team?
That's not enough.
That's some bullshit. It's not going to do nothing.
900 nationally for the whole country, 900 million.
But this is the way they looked at it. We giving y'all nothing now. We gonna give y'all 90 million.
900 million.
And this is 90 million a year. It was 900 million over 10 years. I'm gonna tell you what I told him. Take that and keep it, because that'll hurt us more than it'll help us. And here's why. Because if they gave us 90 million and saw no results, they'll say it don't work. Right. But what we told him collectively, the Black and Brown Peace Consortium, was, that's not even damn $2 million a state.
Yeah.
That's not going to have no impact.
Right.
I asked them.
One neighborhood of Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah. I asked them, if you gave me the money to build a car, but didn't give me enough to put wheels and tires and all of that on it, all you gave me was the frame and the engine.
What good
and
is that?
and you asked me why it ain't running, because you ain't give me enough. We got a resource. For the first time, it was resourced somewhat properly, and we seen the impact. So that shows you, like, at least at the bare minimum, we got to be where we was doing there. And what we should be talking about is, look, these politicians are supposed to be the smartest people. They running our fucking city. You pick somebody to be CEO of the city because he's supposed to be a smart leader. How can I double down on this and move things around? Because the most important thing in Chicago is life. It's people being able to live in healthy communities. All that business, all that good. If a person can't live healthy in the community, then nothing else matters. So how can we double down and get it to, because it's possible. Because New York went all the way down to 200 homicides.
Yeah, I know they did. From 2000.
Look, and New York got 7 million people.
Yep.
Almost 3 times as many as us. So we can get down under 200. So we should be saying, like, how do we double down on our investment to get to 200? Because it's attainable.
Yeah. But the work you're doing, I think, is so crucial to us making our case and continuing to make our case, because the field is becoming professionalized. We're setting standards. We're bringing strong people in, and we're running more and more sophisticated organizations doing this work, and that's a lot of that is because of the work at the academy. So
I want to say a couple things, man. I appreciate. Now, I wasn't even feeling my best, but I know the importance of us getting our message out, and that's why, with it not feeling well and all, I came out to support this podcast. And also, I want to tell y'all my movie is out, The Credible Messenger.
That's right.
And I paid and did a documentary not to make money, but to continue to tell our story around the world, so people can understand who we are and what we do. And and along with the podcast, The Credible Messenger is on Amazon Prime.
okay.
We gotta promote that. I've been promoting it on the Shy Podcast.
Yeah, but we need Peter to start promoting, because he's a storyteller. I need you behind me, Peter. You're a musician and a storyteller.
I'm all with you, brother. I'm
That's
with you.
right.
I'm with you. I'm behind you. I'm in front of you. I'm with you.
I want to ask you this question too before you get out of here, man. Because when we talking about the reinvestment, like the investment that Chicago make, and we hear numbers about like the Bear Stadium and certain neighborhoods, 78, and you talking about buildings being built for $1 billion at a time, and you've heard these kind of numbers. So when we hear people say, when I hear somebody say something like that's too much of an investment, or that's something to think about, whether it be $100 million, because if you think $100 million in CVI work in Chicago, what would that look like?
It'll look like, you know what? It'll look like summertime Shy. It'll look like people having fun. It'll look like peaceful picnics. It'll look like people on the lakefront being able to have a good time. It'll be like people on 31st Street Beach being able to swim and laugh and play. I think just creating the atmosphere so Chicago can transcend what we've always been called, which is second city to the number one city in the world. I love my city. I love Chicago, but it's really going to take real investment in cities that have, in communities that have been overlooked. And that's the thing. It's not that we don't invest in Chicago. It's just like underserved, vulnerable communities have been missing a slice of the pie. And what we understand now, if we don't support those particular individuals in those communities, that we gonna feel it. It's an African proverb. It said, if a child doesn't feel the warmth of the heat, he'll burn down the city.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We're going to push this out. We're going to promote your movie.
Yes, sir.
We're going to, what's the name of the movie
Credible
again?
Messenger.
The Credible Messenger, and it's on Amazon Prime. Buy the movie. It's $9.99. You already know a portion of the proceeds going right back in into the work, because that's what I live for.
That's right.